Hello and welcome to The Clear Voice, brought to you by Clear Career Professionals. I'm your host, James Groom. Thank you for joining us for this special episode where we will be talking about the open finance director position in Marble Falls, Texas. I'm joined today by the recruiter for this position, Kelly Kuenstler. Kelly, welcome to the show and thanks for being with us.
Thanks, James. Good to be here this morning. We're super excited about the recruitment in Marble Falls for their finance director. As most people know, it's a great little city. Government there appears to be very well functioning. So this is going to be an exciting recruitment for us. With us today is Caleb Kraenzel, who is the city manager for Marble Falls. Welcome, Caleb. It's good to have you with us.
Good morning, Kelly. Good morning, James. Thank you for having me. Looking forward to this.
Caleb, tell us a little bit about this position.
Sure. And I apologize up front that I have a little bit of a head cold. If I stumble on my words or if I'm unclear in any way, please let me know.
No problem.
Our finance director in Marble Falls is, I think, what a typical finance director would be in any municipality in charge of city's financial operations, budgeting, accounting, purchasing, utility billing, payroll, and reporting. They lead a small but dedicated team, and I think a large part of their job in Marble Falls is overseeing financial controls, financial transparency, and compliance. Finance director manages the annual budget, the capital planning, and financial forecasting. And then they develop relationships really with their teammates in terms of, we like to think the finance department is an primarily internally facing division of the city that serves mostly the departments and how they execute their duties and day-to-day operations and their procurements. And sometimes that's coaching and sometimes that's assistance. The external side facing the department is certainly the utility billing aspect. Marble Falls has a water and sewer utility. So that part has very customer driven. And as an organization, our focus is very customer oriented. We're very customer service focused in terms of just providing the best services, most professional and efficient we can to the citizens of Marble Falls and the visitors to Marble Falls.
Thank you, Caleb. Great synopsis. How many direct reports is this position responsible for?
That's a great question. Currently, the finance department is comprised of 5 employees, with the finance director overseeing 2 direct reports, and then 3 other personnel in the department and a half full-time employee in the municipal court. But one thing we are really looking for our prospective finance director to look at is just analyzing. It's the same personnel that I had 10 years ago in terms of about bodies in the position. So definitely some type of assessment at the onset of, is any reorganization necessary? Are there more personnel that are necessary to achieve the mission that we're doing today that's transactionally very different from 10 years ago in terms of the volume of customers that we have on the utility side, the amount of transactions we have from within the organization.
The position brochure shows what type of general and enterprise fund the city is responsible for. But what about grant funds? What kind of grant funds does the city currently have?
We kind of have actually a long list. When I was mentioning before the amount of transactions the city has, that's another layer of those transactions ongoing. So currently we have, I think the elephant in the room when it comes to the grants is the One Water project for Marble Falls. We're building a new wastewater treatment plant on the north side of the city. Right now, the current budget is $87 million, and we have about $74 million in grants and loans from the Texas Water Development Board, and then almost another $7 million from the EDA and the EPA. So it's a very, I would call it for government, an unconventional capital stack for a capital project in terms of all those grants backing that project. In addition to that, we have a Texas Parks and Wildlife grant for a couple $1 million on a neighborhood park we have in Marble Falls. And then the fire department has a SAFER grant and a assistant to firefighters grant for equipment. Then 2 other categories of grants. We have our hazard mitigation grants where we're building a local bridge and a low water crossing, and then procuring generators for emergency management. And then the last category is TxDOT grants. We have one TxDOT grant for a couple $1 million for a sidewalk project in the community. So all told, One Water with numerous agencies, Texas Parks and Wildlife, SAFER grant, hazard mitigation grants, and tech stock grants. So yeah, a lot of grants going on. I think that's a great question you asked, Kelly, because it's another facet that I think is driving a little bit of the recruited individual to look at assessing are the people in the right places, and do we have all the right people in the organization currently to achieve all these challenges we have.
Absolutely. And having that many grants is a great thing, but yeah, it definitely comes with its own challenges. I'm assuming you have a grant administrator.
We do, absolutely. Yes. We have I wouldn't say an army of them, but we have a few. Each one that has their expertise based on the entity that's funding the grants.
Any other projects that the city is working on that you didn't mention that aren't grant funded?
Sure, we're working on a long list of capital funded projects. The One Water project is, like I said, the elephant in the room in terms of the amount of the expense and the sheer complexity and construction time frame of the project make that one a very big one. But besides that, we're already in the pre-planning for the next phase of the One Water project, which is to basically go to direct potable reuse. So the One Water project is just the wastewater plant piece in the next 3 years, and then immediately following that, we'll be funding building a water plant addition to the wastewater treatment plant to recycle, retreat treated wastewater into potable water. It's a 10-year plan we're on, but that's the next piece that we're looking at. On the capital improvement side, outside of that, we have Nature Heights roadway extension and low water crossing replacement, avenue and bridge. The Ophelia Hotel and Conference Center is under construction in downtown, which our EDC is a stakeholder in the capital stack, in addition to the city with the local incentives. Lakeside and Johnson Park improvements, downtown parking and pedestrian improvements. Fire Station 2 is actually out for bid right now, and then over the next year, we'll be planning a city hall project. And to cap the list off, a downtown lighting project and a sports complex for the community, which is being built by developers in the final throes of getting completed.
Busy little city. That's great. What accounting program does the current finance department use?
The city currently uses Encode 9 for its primary accounting and ERP system, but we do use OpenGov for our budgeting software.
If I were an applicant, one of the questions I would probably ask are the challenges that the newly appointed finance director is going to face. And you really already mentioned one, and that's possibly doing a reorg or at least assessing the department to determine it hasn't changed in 10 years to determine what needs to change, if anything. Any other potential challenges that you can think of that this newly appointed position might face?
Sure. I think amongst the personnel, it's the process evaluation too, and procedures, policies. Do any of those need updating or even just modernizing in terms of all the tools that are now available to do the jobs in different ways? One area that's very near and dear to my heart, Marble Falls, and organizationally is very important to us, is our cultural preference is to generally promote from within. If a person's developed and ready to take the next step, we ask our directors, our leaders in our organization to put a lot of energy, effort into developing those coming up beneath them and to develop future leaders for the organization. And so amidst that, the finance director is going to have a challenge with, while evaluating their team, how do I need it? And what is the longer term vision for how I develop my team for where they need to be? There may be people in position A that need to move to position C, but they need some development to do it. And what is the game plan for doing that? When it's managing the finances of the city, obviously that's the banner across the sky part of the job. But the other important part of the job for Marble Falls is the organizational improvement and development of the employees within the organization and what we're trying to invest in them, not just on an organizational level, but within each individual department, business unit.
That's great to hear. Succession plans are so important, and that's great to see the resources and the energy that you all put into developing staff. Community and council engagement are also important for director-level positions in municipal government. What expectations will you have surrounding this area?
It's a great question. Mainly it's moving the department, and my vision for the organization is trying to move us to being a little bit more transparent in terms of the information we're broadcasting about the way we do business, kind of telling our story a little bit better in terms of what people don't know what we're doing behind the scenes. Certainly the finance department is near and dear to that. So fostering transparent communication with the council and the community, attending all council meetings and being present in community activities. I'm part of the Marble Falls Rotary Club. So just getting engaged in the community in a variety of ways, not just helps them acclimate and develop relationships, but it really gets them, I think, a stronger sense of what Marble Falls is all about. And I do think we're blessed and spoiled slightly by having a lot of great political stability in the community. The last city manager was here 10 years. From council to council, you don't have a lot of bickering about large initiatives. Sure, there's disagreements, but on the large things, there's thoughtful consensus developed amongst the council members about where we need to go, and not argumentative bickering about, I don't know, I would call it, petty agendas. They're a very good, consistent, strategic focus to council year after year.
That is so refreshing to hear, Caleb. I cannot tell you how many applicants ask about the stability of the city manager, the stability of the city council, and literally withdraw after they listen to council meetings. That is really good to hear. Congratulations. Kudos to Marble Falls. I wish we had more of that.
Well, and another testament to that fact is, and I probably didn't bring this up because I'm just not super keen on talking about myself that much, but I've been here 20 years. And so I was the assistant city manager for 7 years before I was promoted to the current role. So the last city manager, as we try to duplicate throughout the organization, not just from the top all the way down to the bottom, but he coached me, developed me, and got me ready for the position. And when he was ready to step down and retire, the council elected to offer me the position instead of recruiting it. And so that worked out really well for me, but I think also it sent a very strong indication throughout the organization that, yes, this is what we're about. We're about developing internally, promoting internally, not in all scenarios, but as a preferred scenario.
I love the stability that brings for a community. So again, just one more thing that makes this position attractive for candidates. If I were the newly selected finance director, what would you tell me about living in Marble Falls?
Sure, that's an excellent question. So Marble Falls is a city of just under 10,000 people. It definitely has a small town charm and character, and matter of fact, that's one of the council's visions, is to try and maintain that in every meaningful way that we can. For me and the employees and the staff, I believe that one of the key areas we can contribute to that is by providing good customer service and just relating to our residents, and not having short tempers, not getting frustrated, being patient, helping people navigate their way through government to find the answer they're wanting. But at night, Marble Falls, about 10 o'clock now, all the major signals in Marble Falls start blinking yellow. So that's a good sign of it being a small town. In the daytime, no one would ever think that would happen. So Marble Falls, while we're under 10,000 resident population, we have about 120,000 people in our primary trade area. So in our primary trade area, that's people coming in for jobs. 4 of the 5 school campuses in Marble Falls ISD are in Marble Falls. And our sales tax, I think, is testament to really how much day-to-day commerce we have going on in the community, not just in terms of jobs, but in terms of retail goods and moving through the community.
What is your annual sales tax?
Last year was about 11 million as far as sales tax collected. We're a small town, but we're definitely a destination community on the Highland Lakes, kind of right on the Highland Lakes, and tourism is also a big draw, just by virtue of our location, but also economically as a community, it's another layer of our local economy, right? Is tourism based on that. So we try to step into that pretty hard with the EDC's engagement, the hot committee's engagement. We have a downtown coordinator that really promotes and does a lot of downtown planning to try and make our downtown the heart of the community and a very strong, vibrant economic center.
Very good. What might the successful candidate do to build a strong community engagement strategy? And I think you've touched on this. Is there anything else you'd like to add to that?
No, I don't think I have much to add in that. I think initially I don't want to put too much into prospective candidates' head about externally focused things, because I think right now they have to, for their first 6 months, certainly a primary focus to the internal assessment would be necessary. Moving beyond that, just getting more involved in the community and being engaged with not just the organization's cultural activities, but the community's cultural activities.
Makes perfect sense. Caleb, what is your leadership style?
Huh. I love this question, and I've been described as a chameleon, in that my leadership style kind of varies based on the individual that I am interfacing with. So I served in the military for 5 years. So in the military, they have 3 areas that they identify as you either tend to be a delegative leader, a participative leader, or authoritarian leader. I kind of live in all 3 of those areas, where I'll work on things together with directors kind of as on a peer basis. There's times where I'm delegating and there's times where I'm authoritative. It kind of depends on the situation. I think I'm patient, not heavy-handed. Quality is more important than speed to me. Customer service focus and taking care of your coworkers and your peers, the employees beneath you, are of the utmost priority. And so, as if we're checking all those boxes, I think the last thing is just maintain a positive attitude in all that we do, because we have to work together every day. And this job is like living in a glass house. You get a lot of criticism. You got to lift each other up and look at the positive outlays of the day and not the negative. Look at what we accomplished and don't focus on the negative. Big achievements are accomplished through small incremental improvements or achievements. So we focus on those small wins, and those small wins equal big wins.
I think that's a great answer. And I think that it just makes this position more attractive. So good for you. How would you support the successful candidate's professional development?
Well, professional development within the organization is a huge priority to us. So really going to encourage them to be involved in any professional organizations, GOFA, or any entities like that are in their professional dominion, to be involved and engaged in those. We have actively ongoing leadership professional development, not just for the executive staff, but for the internal staff. We have our STEP program, which is our kind of our leadership introductory training program, and then our elite program, which is kind of a emerging leader program, where people that might be able to move up farther than supervisor have an opportunity to develop their skill sets more. Attendance at conferences and workshops the city pays for within the approved budgets. I think a very healthy amount of funding towards supporting professional developments for employees to attend trainings, workshops, etc. And then just figuring out what each employee, and in this case the finance director, what their goals are long term for professional development, and where we can help try and see them get to.
Absolutely. Anything else that you think applicants for this position might want to know, or any last minute thoughts or piece of advice for candidates?
Sure. I will say that one thing that I don't want someone to be surprised by is the housing market in Marble Falls and the area can be a little challenging. Sometimes people think that the home pricing is going to be a little bit better than it is, because we're in the Highland Lakes. That's a supply and demand issue, right? There's a pretty high demand because it's in the Highland Lakes areas, Central Texas Hill Country, up by the lakes, a lot of hunting and fishing, a lot of outdoor stuff. So because of that, I do think applicants, where they want to live, they might have some challenges with doing that. It's been a stumbling block for people in the past in terms of recruitment. So that would just be something I'd want to make somebody aware of. And we try to, as an organization, provide any assistance that we can. Any applicants endeavor to try and relocate over here, whether it's temporary housing or assistance with locating something. It kind of just depends on how much help the person might need, because that's very much sometimes dictated by the person wants to do it themselves. We try to support them in any way we can with the relocation.
Great. What if the person wanted to live in an adjacent community? I'm assuming there's no residency requirement for this position?
Correct. No residency requirement for this position. Absolutely.
Caleb, thank you so much for visiting with us this morning. It was great to have you. I'm so looking forward to bringing you all some great candidates for this position. If anybody has any other questions, my phone number and email address are on our advertising material. Feel free to reach out anytime. Thank you again, Caleb.
Thank you, Kelly. Thanks, James. You all have a wonderful day.
Thank you for listening to this episode of The Clear Voice. Please follow Clear Career Professionals on LinkedIn to keep updated on this and other excellent career opportunities. Like and subscribe to the podcast on your favorite platform. Let us know in the comments on LinkedIn or YouTube who you think we should have on the show next. For more information about this opportunity, check out the Careers Opportunities tab on Clear's website, which is located at clearcareerpro.com. And we will catch you next time.